Sarah Martinez had always been different from other girls in her small Texas town. While her classmates played with dolls, she spent hours in her grandfather's backyard, learning to shoot tin cans off fence posts with an old .22 rifle. Her grandfather, a Korean War veteran, noticed something special about his granddaughter's steady hands and sharp eyes. By age 12, she could hit a target the size of a quarter from 50 yards away. The other kids at school never understood Sarah. She was quiet, serious, and preferred books about military history to teenage magazines. Her teachers often found her sketching battle formations in the margins of her notebooks instead of paying attention to algebra lessons. When career day came around in high school, while other students talked about becoming doctors or teachers, Sarah announced she wanted to serve her country. Her parents, Maria and Carlos Martinez, ran a small grocery store and had dreams of Sarah taking over the family business someday. They worried when their daughter spent her afternoons at the local shooting range. Instead of helping with inventory, Maria would watch from the kitchen window as Sarah practiced military-style exercises she learned from YouTube videos, doing push-ups and running laps around their property before dawn. The shooting range owner, retired Army Sergeant Tom Wilson, became Sarah's unofficial mentor. He had served 3 tours in Afghanistan and recognized raw talent when he saw it. Tom taught Sarah about different weapons, breathing techniques, and the mental discipline required for precision shooting. He often told his wife that Sarah had a gift he had rarely seen, even among seasoned soldiers. During her senior year of high school, military recruiters began visiting the school. Sarah attended every presentation, asking detailed questions about special operations and combat roles. The Marine recruiter was impressed by her knowledge and physical fitness, but when Sarah learned about the Navy SEALs, something clicked. She researched everything about the elite unit, studying their history, training methods, and missions. The problem was clear. Women were not allowed in SEAL teams at that time. This reality hit Sarah hard, but instead of giving up, she made a different plan. She would join the Navy, excel in whatever role they gave her, and prove herself worthy of special operations work. Her guidance counselor, Mrs. Peterson, tried to steer her toward college, but Sarah's mind was made up. The day after graduation, Sarah walked into the Navy recruitment office in the nearby city. The recruiter, Chief Petty Officer Rodriguez, was surprised to see such a young woman with such specific goals. Most female recruits wanted administrative or medical roles, but Sarah asked about combat positions and specialized training opportunities. During her initial interviews and tests, Sarah's scores were exceptional. Her physical fitness was above average. Her marksmanship was outstanding, and her psychological evaluations showed the mental toughness needed for military service. Chief Rodriguez had been recruiting for 15 years and had never seen a package quite like Sarah's. The night before shipping out to boot camp, Sarah sat on her childhood bed looking at old photos of herself with her grandfather. He had passed away 2 years earlier, but she could still hear his voice telling her stories about brotherhood in combat and the honor of serving something bigger than yourself. Her mother came in with a cup of hot chocolate, tears in her eyes. Maria sat on the bed and took her daughter's hands. She told Sarah how proud she was, even though she was terrified of losing her only child to war. Carlos joined them, and for the first time in years, the 3 of them talked openly about Sarah's dreams and their fears. They stayed up until midnight, sharing memories and making promises to write letters every week. Boot camp at Great Lakes Naval Training Center was everything Sarah expected and more. The drill instructors were tough, the physical demands were intense, and the mental pressure was constant. But Sarah thrived in this environment. While other recruits struggled with the discipline and structure, she found comfort in the routine and clear expectations. Her bunkmate, Jessica Thompson from Ohio, became her closest friend during training. Jessica was there for the educational benefits and planned to work in communications. She watched in amazement as Sarah excelled at every physical challenge and earned the respect of their drill instructors through sheer determination and skill. During weapons training, Sarah's abilities became legendary among her company. She consistently outshot recruits who had grown up hunting, and even impressed the instructors with her precision and consistency. Word began to spread about the quiet girl from Texas, who could put 10 rounds through the same hole at 100 yards. The culmination of boot camp was the final exercise, a comprehensive test of everything they had learned. Sarah finished at the top of her class in almost every category. As she stood at attention during graduation, wearing her navy dress blues for the first time. She felt the weight of responsibility and the excitement of new possibilities. Her parents and several relatives made the trip to Illinois for graduation. When Sarah walked across that stage to receive her certificate, Maria cried with pride and worry. Carlos shook hands with Chief Rodriguez, who pulled him aside and told him that Sarah had the potential to do special things in the Navy. After graduation, Sarah received orders to report to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in California for advanced training. She didn't know it yet, but this assignment would put her in close proximity to Buddies training where Navy SEALs are made. The base commander had specifically requested her after reviewing her boot camp performance and test scores. The drive across the country to California gave Sarah time to think about her future. She had proven herself in basic training, but the real challenges lay ahead. As she drove through the desert highways, she thought about her grandfather's stories and made a silent promise to honor his memory through her service. When Sarah first saw the Pacific Ocean from the base, she knew she was exactly where she belonged. The smell of salt air mixed with the sounds of military training created an atmosphere that energized her. This was not just another assignment. This was the beginning of a journey that would test everything she believed about herself and her capabilities. Naval Amphibious Base Coronado was unlike anything Sarah had experienced. The base buzzed with constant activity as various special operations units trained alongside regular Navy personnel. She was assigned to the Intelligence Specialist program, which disappointed her initially, but she quickly learned that intelligence work put her close to the action she craved. Her supervisor, Lieutenant Commander Patricia Hayes, was a career intelligence officer who had worked with special operations teams for over a decade. Hayes recognized Sarah's unique combination of analytical skills and combat instincts. During their first meeting, Hayes asked Sarah directly about her long-term goals, and Sarah honestly shared her dream of serving in special operations. Instead of discouraging her, Hayes began incorporating Sarah into briefings for SEAL teams preparing for deployments. Sarah's job was to analyze satellite imagery, enemy movement patterns, and create detailed intelligence reports. She approached this work with the same intensity she had shown on the shooting range, often staying late to perfect her analysis. The SEAL teams began to notice the quality of intelligence they were receiving. The reports were more detailed, the analysis was sharper, and the tactical recommendations were surprisingly insightful for someone who had never been in combat. Team leaders started requesting specific follow-up analysis from the young intelligence specialist, who seemed to understand their operational needs. During one late-evening briefing, Sarah was presenting intelligence about a suspected terrorist training camp when SEAL team leader Chief Petty Officer Marcus Johnson interrupted her with questions about sniper positions and escape routes. Sarah had already identified these elements in her analysis and walked him through each detail on the satellite images. Johnson was impressed by her tactical thinking. After the briefing, Johnson approached Sarah privately. He had been leading SEAL teams for 8 years and had worked with dozens of intelligence analysts. Most of them were smart but lacked understanding of ground-level combat realities. Sarah was different. She seemed to instinctively understand how operations actually worked in the field. Johnson began inviting Sarah to observe training exercises when her schedule permitted. She watched as SEAL teams practiced beach landings, building clearance, and long-range reconnaissance missions. During these observations, Sarah took detailed notes, not just about tactics, but about equipment, communication procedures, and team dynamics. The breakthrough came during a complex training scenario involving hostage rescue. The SEALs were struggling with surveillance of the target building, because their designated sniper positions offered limited visibility. Sarah, who had been studying the setup from the observation area, approached Johnson with a suggestion about an alternative position that would provide better coverage. Johnson was skeptical, but decided to test Sarah's recommendation. The new position she identified offered perfect sight lines to all critical areas of the target building. When Johnson asked how she had spotted this opportunity that his experienced snipers had missed, Sarah explained her analysis of sightlines, wind patterns, and concealment factors. Word about the intelligence specialist with tactical instincts spread quickly through the special operations community at Coronado. Soon, other teams were requesting her input on mission planning. Sarah found herself working directly with some of the most elite soldiers in the military, earning their respect through her consistent contributions. Lieutenant Commander Hayes noticed the attention Sarah was receiving and decided to accelerate her training. She arranged for Sarah to attend advanced courses in tactical analysis, threat assessment, and operational planning. These courses were typically reserved for senior personnel, but Sarah's performance justified the exception. During one particularly challenging course on battlefield assessment, Sarah was paired with a Marine Force reconnaissance officer for a simulation exercise. The scenario involved analyzing a complex combat situation and recommending tactical responses. Sarah's analysis was so thorough and accurate that the instructor used it as an example for the rest of the class. Her personal fitness routine continued to evolve during this period. Sarah woke up at 4:30 every morning to run on the beach, followed by strength training and weapons practice when available. She studied the physical fitness standards for various special operations units and consistently exceeded all of them. Even though she was not officially pursuing those roles, the base gym became Sarah's second home. She worked out alongside SEALs, Marines, and other special operations personnel, never backing down from any physical challenge. Her dedication and performance earned respect from men who had initially been skeptical about a young female sailor training at their level. One evening, Chief Johnson found Sarah in the gym practicing with a pistol on the indoor range. He watched as she put 20 consecutive rounds through the center of the target at 25 yards. When she finished, he approached and complimented her shooting. Sarah mentioned that she had been practicing since childhood and had always found shooting to be a form of meditation. Johnson asked Sarah if she had ever considered sniper training. The question caught her off guard because she had never imagined such opportunities would be available to her. Johnson explained that the military was beginning to recognize the value of female operatives in certain situations, particularly for intelligence gathering in areas where male soldiers would be too conspicuous. The conversation with Johnson planted a seed in Sarah's mind. She began researching military sniper programs, studying their requirements, training methods, and deployment patterns. She learned about the psychological demands of sniper work and the importance of patience, discipline, and emotional control under extreme pressure. Her research led her to stories of successful female snipers throughout military history. From Soviet snipers in World War II to modern police markswomen, Sarah realized that her gender might actually be an advantage in certain tactical situations, providing an element of surprise that male snipers could not offer. Sarah decided to formally request specialized marksmanship training. She prepared a detailed proposal outlining her qualifications, her performance record, and her potential value to special operations missions. The proposal was professional, well-researched, and demonstrated the same analytical skills she applied to intelligence work. Lieutenant Commander Hayes reviewed Sarah's proposal and was impressed by its thoroughness and logic. Hayes had been watching Sarah's development and believed she had the potential to break new ground for women in military service. Hayes decided to forward the proposal up the chain of command with her strong endorsement. The response took several weeks, but when it came, it was better than Sarah had hoped. She was approved for advanced marksmanship training and psychological evaluation for potential sniper duties. The approval came with the understanding that this was an experimental program, and her performance would be closely monitored. The night before starting her new training, Sarah walked alone on the beach near the base. The sound of waves and the sight of stars reminded her of nights spent with her grandfather, learning about discipline and purpose. She felt his presence and knew he would be proud of how far she had come and excited about where she was going. The specialized marksmanship program was conducted at a remote training facility in the mountains of Southern California. Sarah arrived to find herself as the only woman among 12 carefully selected military personnel from different branches. The other candidates included Marines, Army Rangers, and even 2 Navy SEALs who were cross-training in advanced sniper techniques. The head instructor was Gunnery Sergeant Michael Torres, a Marine sniper with over 200 confirmed kills across 4 combat deployments. Torres had initially opposed including a female candidate in the program, but his orders were clear, and he promised to evaluate everyone by the same standards. He made it clear from day one that there would be no special treatment for anyone. The first week was dedicated to advanced marksmanship fundamentals. While Sarah's natural shooting ability was evident, Torres pushed every candidate to achieve precision that went far beyond normal military standards. They practiced shooting at distances up to 800 yards in various weather conditions, and from uncomfortable positions that simulated real combat scenarios. Sarah excelled in the technical aspects of long-range shooting. Her mathematical background helped her quickly master ballistics calculations, and her steady nerves allowed her to maintain accuracy under pressure. However, the physical demands of the training were more challenging than anything she had experienced. The candidates carried heavy sniper rifles and equipment over mountain terrain for hours at a time. During the second week, the psychological component of sniper training began. Torres explained that snipers often worked alone or in pairs, sometimes spending days in concealed positions waiting for the right moment to take a shot. The mental discipline required was as important as physical skills. Candidates practiced remaining motionless for hours, controlling their breathing, and maintaining focus despite discomfort. One exercise required candidates to remain in a concealed position for 12 hours, while instructors tried to spot them. Sarah chose a location among some rocks and brush. Using techniques she remembered from hunting with her grandfather, she controlled her breathing, moved only when absolutely necessary, and maintained her position despite intense heat and thirst. She was one of only 4 candidates who remained undetected. The third week introduced urban warfare scenarios. Candidates practiced shooting from buildings, through windows, and in environments where civilians might be present. This training emphasized the critical importance of target identification and the devastating consequences of mistakes. Torres shared stories from his combat experience about split-second decisions that meant the difference between mission success and tragedy. Sarah found herself particularly suited to urban environments. Her intelligence background had taught her to analyze complex situations quickly, and she could identify threats and assess risks faster than most of her classmates. During one exercise involving a simulated hostage situation, Sarah's shot placement and timing were so precise that Torres used her performance as an example for the group. The relationship between Sarah and her fellow candidates evolved throughout the training. Initially, some were skeptical about her presence and capabilities. However, as she consistently performed at the top of the class, skepticism turned to respect. The 2 SEALs in the program, Petty Officers Davis and Martinez, became particularly supportive, often sharing tactical insights with her. Week 4 focused on fieldcraft and survival skills. Candidates learned advanced camouflage techniques, how to construct concealed positions, and methods for moving undetected through hostile territory. They practiced these skills during multi-day exercises in desert and mountain environments, carrying minimal supplies and operating under realistic combat stress. During one particularly challenging exercise, Sarah and her partner were required to reach a target location 15 miles away, establish a concealed position, and maintain surveillance for 24 hours. The terrain was rough, the weather was hot during the day and cold at night, and they could carry only essential equipment. Sarah's partner was Martinez, one of the SEALs, who was impressed by her endurance and tactical thinking. The exercise tested every skill they had learned. Sarah and Martinez moved through the terrain at night, navigating by stars and landmarks. They established their position before dawn and spent the entire day observing a simulated enemy compound. Sarah's intelligence training proved valuable as she documented patrol patterns, identified key personnel, and noted potential weaknesses in the compound's security. When enemy search teams came looking for them during the exercise, Sarah and Martinez remained undetected in their position. Sarah's patience and discipline were tested as soldiers passed within yards of their location. She controlled her breathing, remained motionless, and trusted her camouflage and concealment techniques. The 5th week introduced advanced shooting scenarios that combined all previously learned skills. Candidates engaged targets at extreme ranges, in adverse weather conditions, and under simulated combat stress. They practiced shooting while fatigued, after physical exertion, and with artificial time pressures that mimicked real operational demands. Sarah's performance during these advanced exercises was consistently exceptional. She adapted quickly to changing conditions, maintained accuracy under pressure, and demonstrated the mental toughness required for real combat operations. Torres noted in his evaluations that Sarah possessed a rare combination of technical skill and psychological strength. The final week culminated in a comprehensive evaluation that tested every aspect of sniper training. Candidates were evaluated on marksmanship, fieldcraft, physical fitness, tactical knowledge, and psychological stability. The evaluation included written tests, practical exercises, and simulated combat scenarios that pushed everyone to their limits. Sarah approached the final evaluation with confidence built through weeks of intensive training. She had proven herself capable of meeting every challenge and had earned the respect of both instructors and fellow candidates. The final marksmanship test required engaging multiple targets at various distances within strict time limits while operating alone. When the results were announced, Sarah had achieved the highest overall score in the program's history. Her marksmanship scores were perfect, her tactical knowledge was superior, and her psychological evaluation indicated exceptional suitability for sniper operations. Torres, who had initially doubted her abilities, publicly acknowledged that Sarah was among the finest candidates he had ever trained. The graduation ceremony was small and private, reflecting the classified nature of the training program. Sarah's parents were not allowed to attend, but Lieutenant Commander Hayes was present to witness her achievement. As Sarah received her certificate and specialized qualification, she thought about the long journey from her grandfather's backyard to this moment. Torres approached Sarah after the ceremony and told her that she would be recommended for immediate operational deployment. He explained that her unique combination of intelligence background and sniper qualification made her valuable for special operations missions that required both skills. Sarah was excited about the opportunity, but also nervous about the responsibilities ahead. The other graduates congratulated Sarah on her achievement, and several exchanged contact information for future collaboration. Davis and Martinez told her they hoped to work with her on actual missions, and they promised to recommend her to their team leaders. Sarah realized she had not only completed an elite training program, but had also built a network of professional relationships that would serve her throughout her career. Sarah's first operational assignment came 3 weeks after completing sniper training. She was attached to a joint task force preparing for deployment to Afghanistan, where intelligence reports indicated increased terrorist activity in remote mountain regions. Her role would combine her intelligence expertise with her newly acquired sniper capabilities, providing overwatch and reconnaissance for special operations teams. The deployment briefing took place in a secure facility at Coronado. Sarah learned that she would be working with a mixed team including Navy SEALs, Army Special Forces, and CIA operatives. The mission involved tracking and eliminating a high-value target who had been coordinating attacks against coalition forces from hidden compounds in the Hindu Kush Mountains. Team leader Commander James Mitchell had requested Sarah specifically after reviewing her training records and intelligence background. Mitchell had led special operations teams for 12 years and understood the value of having a sniper who could also analyze enemy patterns and predict their movements. He explained that Sarah's unique skill set could provide advantages that traditional teams lacked. The team spent 2 weeks in intensive mission planning and training. Sarah studied satellite imagery, intercepted communications, and historical attack patterns to develop a comprehensive profile of their target and his organization. Her analysis revealed that the target moved between 3 different compounds on a predictable rotation, always traveling with a small security detail. During training exercises, Sarah worked closely with the SEAL team that would provide security during her sniper operations. The team leader, Chief Petty Officer Rodriguez, had initially been skeptical about working with an untested operative, but Sarah's performance during simulated missions quickly earned his confidence. She demonstrated not only exceptional shooting skills, but also tactical awareness that enhanced the entire team's effectiveness. The deployment to Afghanistan began with a flight to Bagram Airfield, followed by helicopter transport to a forward operating base in Kunar Province. The base was situated in a valley surrounded by towering mountains, and Sarah immediately understood why this region had been so challenging for military operations. The terrain provided countless hiding places and advantageous positions for both friendly and enemy forces. Sarah's living quarters were Spartan, but functional. She shared a small building with 3 other female personnel, including a military intelligence officer and 2 logistics specialists. The environment was harsh, with extreme temperature variations and constant dust that required careful maintenance of sensitive equipment like sniper rifles and optical devices. The first mission came after 1 week of acclimatization and final preparations. Intelligence sources had reported that the target would be visiting one of his compounds for a meeting with local commanders. Sarah's role was to establish an overwatch position on a ridge overlooking the compound and provide both surveillance and sniper support if needed. Sarah and her security team moved into position during darkness, carrying specialized equipment up a steep mountain path. The approach took 4 hours of careful movement through terrain that could easily cause serious injury if someone made a mistake. Sarah carried her custom sniper rifle, optical equipment, and communication gear, while the SEAL team provided security and additional supplies. The overwatch position was established in a natural rock formation that provided excellent concealment and clear sight lines to the target. Compound 800 yards away. Sarah spent hours preparing the position, calculating range cards for various points of interest and establishing communication protocols with the command center. The surveillance phase lasted 3 days. Sarah maintained constant observation of the compound, documenting every person who entered or left, noting patrol patterns, and identifying potential threats. Her intelligence training proved invaluable as she recognized subtle patterns in the enemy's behavior that might indicate preparations for the target's arrival. On the 3rd day, Sarah observed increased activity at the compound. Additional security personnel arrived and the normal routine was disrupted by what appeared to be preparation activities. She reported these observations to the command center and recommended that all teams prepare for immediate action. The target arrived at the compound that afternoon, traveling in a convoy of 3 vehicles with heavy security. Sarah confirmed the target's identity through her scope and reported his location to the command center. The plan called for the ground assault team to capture the target alive if possible, with Sarah providing overwatch and eliminating any threats to the assault team. The assault began at dusk when the assault team moved down from their concealed positions toward the compound. Sarah tracked their movement through her scope, while simultaneously monitoring the compound for any signs that the enemy had detected the approaching team. Her position allowed her to see everything that was happening in real time. The mission almost went according to plan. The assault team reached the compound perimeter without detection and began their approach to the main building. However, Sarah noticed movement on the roof of an adjacent building that the assault team could not see from their position. An enemy sniper was positioning himself with a clear shot at the approaching SEALs. Sarah had seconds to make a decision. The enemy sniper was approximately 600 yards from her position, partially concealed behind a low wall. Wind conditions were moderate but manageable, and she had already calculated the ballistic data for that range. She aligned her crosshairs, controlled her breathing, and squeezed the trigger. The shot was perfect. The enemy sniper dropped immediately, never getting the chance to fire on the assault team. Sarah's intervention had likely saved multiple American lives, but she had no time to celebrate. She immediately began scanning for other threats while maintaining communication with the ground team. The assault team successfully captured the target and several of his associates without further incident. They called for extraction, and helicopters arrived within 30 minutes to evacuate both the assault team and Sarah's overwatch team. The entire operation was completed without any American casualties, largely due to Sarah's vigilance and precision shooting. Back at the forward operating base, Sarah was debriefed by intelligence officers who were impressed by both her tactical performance and the quality of intelligence she had gathered during the surveillance phase. Her detailed observations had provided valuable insights into enemy operations and would inform future missions in the region. Commander Mitchell personally commended Sarah for her performance during the mission. He told her that her shot had prevented what could have been a disaster for the assault team. More importantly, he noted that her intelligence analysis had been crucial to the mission's success, demonstrating the value of combining different specialties in a single operative. The successful mission established Sarah's reputation within the special operations community. Word spread quickly about the intelligence specialist who had proven herself under fire, and other team leaders began requesting her for their operations. Sarah realized that she had found her true calling, combining her analytical skills with combat capabilities in ways that maximized her contribution to mission success. 3 months into her deployment, Sarah had become an integral part of the Special Operations Task Force. She had participated in 12 successful missions, providing overwatch and intelligence support that had resulted in the capture or elimination of several high-value targets. Her reputation for precision shooting and tactical analysis had spread throughout the theater of operations. The mission that would define her career began with intelligence reports. about a major terrorist planning meeting in a remote valley near the Pakistan border. The meeting was expected to include several top-level commanders who had been responsible for coordinating attacks across multiple provinces. The intelligence community considered this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to disrupt terrorist operations. Sarah was assigned to provide overwatch for what would be the largest operation she had yet supported. The assault force included 2 SEAL teams, an Army Special Forces unit, and supporting elements totaling over 40 personnel. The complexity of the operation required multiple overwatch positions, and Sarah would be responsible for the most critical sector overlooking the main approach to the target compound. The target location was a fortified compound built into the side of a mountain, accessible only by a narrow valley with steep walls on both sides. Intelligence analysis suggested that the compound housed not only the meeting participants but also a significant security force, armed with heavy weapons and potentially shoulder-fired missiles that could threaten extraction helicopters. Sarah and her security team established their overwatch position on a ridge 2,000 yards from the target compound. This was the longest operational shot she had ever attempted, requiring precise calculations for bullet drop, wind drift, and atmospheric conditions. She spent an entire day preparing range, cards, and backup firing positions while her security team established defensive perimeters. The surveillance phase revealed that the intelligence reports had been accurate. Sarah observed multiple high-value targets arriving at the compound over 3 days, each accompanied by heavily armed security details. Her detailed reporting helped the command center build a comprehensive picture of the enemy's strength and disposition. On the night before the planned assault, Sarah noticed unusual activity around the compound. Additional guards had been posted and patrols had been increased. More concerning, she observed the installation of what appeared to be anti-aircraft weapons on the compound's roof. She immediately reported these developments to the command center and recommended delaying the operation. The mission commander decided to proceed despite Sarah's concerns, believing that the opportunity to eliminate multiple high-value targets was worth the increased risk. However, he modified the assault plan to account for Sarah's observations, adjusting helicopter flight paths and increasing the supporting fire available to the assault teams. The operation began at midnight with Sarah providing real-time intelligence as the assault teams moved through the valley toward the target. Through her night vision scope, she tracked their progress and monitored the compound for any signs that the enemy had detected the approaching forces. Everything appeared to be proceeding according to plan, until the assault teams were within 300 yards of the compound. Sarah spotted muzzle flashes from positions that had not been identified during surveillance. The enemy had prepared an ambush with hidden fighting positions covering the approaches to the compound. The assault teams found themselves under heavy fire from multiple directions, pinned down in the valley with limited cover. The tactical situation deteriorated rapidly. The enemy's defensive positions were well coordinated, and they appeared to have night vision capabilities that allowed them to effectively engage the assault teams. Several team members were wounded in the initial exchange of fire, and the mission commander was considering calling for extraction. Sarah realized that the assault team's survival depended on eliminating the enemy positions that had them pinned down. However, these positions were at extreme range for her rifle, and many were partially concealed behind rocks or building materials. She would need to make precise shots under combat stress while friendly forces were in danger. Her first target was a machine gun position that was causing the most casualties among the assault teams. The gunner was partially concealed behind sandbags at a range of 1,800 yards. Sarah calculated the ballistic solution, accounted for the wind that had picked up since darkness, and took the shot. The machine gun fell silent immediately. With the primary threat eliminated, the assault teams were able to advance toward the compound. However, Sarah identified additional threats that the ground forces could not see from their position. A sniper in a tower was preparing to engage the assault teams, and Sarah eliminated him with a single shot at nearly 2,000 yards. The battle continued for over an hour, with Sarah systematically engaging targets that threatened the assault teams. Her shooting was precise and deadly, allowing the ground forces to maneuver and ultimately breach the compound walls. She provided continuous overwatch as the teams cleared buildings and secured high-value targets. During the final phase of the assault, Sarah noticed movement on a nearby ridgeline that suggested enemy reinforcements were arriving. She identified a group of fighters moving to flank the assault teams and engaged them at maximum range for her weapon system. Her accurate fire disrupted the flanking attack and prevented what could have been a disaster for the ground forces. The mission was ultimately successful, with multiple high-value targets captured and significant intelligence materials seized. However, the cost had been higher than anticipated, with several wounded personnel requiring immediate medical evacuation. The assault team leaders credited Sarah's overwatch and precision shooting with preventing what could have been much higher casualties. During the extraction phase, Sarah provided security as helicopters landed to evacuate wounded personnel and transport the assault teams back to base. She was among the last personnel to leave the area, maintaining her overwatch position until all friendly forces had been safely extracted. The after-action review revealed that Sarah had engaged 14 separate targets during the operation, with confirmed eliminations at ranges up to 2,000 yards. Her shooting had been instrumental in the mission's success and had likely saved multiple lives among the assault teams. The intelligence value of the operation was significant, with captured materials leading to additional successful missions. Following this operation, Sarah received formal recognition for her actions, including a Bronze Star Medal for valor in combat. More importantly, she had proven that the combination of intelligence expertise and sniper capabilities could provide unique advantages in special operations. Her success opened doors for other female personnel to pursue similar roles in combat operations. Sarah's deployment ended after 8 months of continuous operations, during which she had participated in over 30 missions and established herself as one of the most effective snipers in theater. Her unique combination of intelligence analysis and precision shooting had proven invaluable to special operations teams, and her methods were being studied for implementation with other units. Returning to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado felt surreal after months in combat zones. Sarah found herself adjusting to normal routines like hot showers, regular meals, and sleeping without the constant awareness of potential threats. The transition from combat operations to peacetime duties was more challenging than she had anticipated, and she struggled with feelings of restlessness and disconnection. Her debriefing sessions with intelligence officers lasted for weeks as they extracted every detail from her combat experiences. The information she provided was used to improve tactics, techniques, and procedures for future operations. More importantly, her success had opened discussions about expanding opportunities for women in special operations roles. Lieutenant Commander Hayes, who had been promoted during Sarah's deployment, welcomed her back with news that would change the trajectory of her career. The Navy was establishing a new program to train female operatives for specialized intelligence and sniper missions, and Sarah was being offered the opportunity to help develop and lead this program. The new program, designated Special Operations Intelligence Support, would train carefully selected women to provide the same capabilities that Sarah had demonstrated in combat. The program would combine advanced intelligence training with sniper qualifications and specialized insertion techniques. Sarah would serve as both an instructor and a continuing operational asset. Sarah accepted the new assignment with enthusiasm. She recognized the opportunity to share her hard-earned experience with other women who shared her commitment to serving in special operations. The program would be based at Coronado but would include training at various facilities across the country to ensure comprehensive preparation. The first class of candidates included 12 women from different military branches, all with exceptional records and specific qualifications that suggested potential for success in the program. Sarah found teaching to be deeply rewarding, as she was able to pass on not only technical skills but also the mental approaches that had served her well in combat. One student, Marine Corporal Lisa Chen, reminded Sarah of herself at the beginning of her journey. Chen had exceptional marksmanship skills and strong analytical abilities, but lacked confidence in her tactical judgment. Sarah worked closely with Chen, sharing lessons learned from actual combat operations and helping her develop the mental toughness required for special operations. The training program evolved based on Sarah's combat experience and lessons learned from operational deployments. Students learned not only shooting and intelligence skills but also survival techniques, escape and evasion methods, and specialized communication procedures. Sarah emphasized the importance of mental preparation and the ability to make life or death decisions under extreme pressure. After 6 months of developing the program, Sarah received an unexpected visitor. Chief Petty Officer Rodriguez, one of the SEALs she had worked with during her first deployment, came to Coronado with a special request. His team was preparing for a high-priority mission and specifically requested Sarah's participation. Based on her proven capabilities and unique skill set, the mission involved infiltrating a terrorist stronghold in Syria where American hostages were being held. Intelligence indicated that the facility was heavily fortified and surrounded by multiple defensive positions. The rescue operation would require precise coordination between assault teams and overwatch elements, with no margin for error given the hostages' safety. Sarah was torn between her responsibilities to the training program and the call to return to operational duties. Lieutenant Commander Hayes encouraged her to accept the mission, explaining that her continued operational experience would enhance her effectiveness as an instructor and program developer. The first class of students had nearly completed their training and could continue under temporary supervision. The mission planning took place at a classified facility where Sarah reunited with many of the special operations personnel she had worked with previously. The team included Navy SEALs, Army Delta Force operators, and CIA operatives, representing the highest level of special operations capability. Sarah's role would be to provide overwatch and eliminate specific threats that could jeopardize the hostage. Rescue intelligence reports indicated that the terrorist leader holding the hostages was a former military officer who understood American tactics and had prepared sophisticated defenses. The facility included multiple buildings, underground tunnels, and defensive positions that would challenge even the most experienced assault teams. Sarah studied the intelligence for days, identifying potential sniper positions and escape routes. The insertion into Syria was conducted using stealth helicopters that delivered the teams to a location 15 miles from the target facility. Sarah and her security element moved overland during darkness, carrying specialized equipment through desert terrain while avoiding enemy patrols and surveillance systems. The approach took 8 hours of careful movement. Sarah established her overwatch position on a hill overlooking the terrorist compound just before dawn. The position provided excellent visibility of the entire facility while offering concealment and multiple escape routes. She spent hours studying the compound through her scope, identifying guard positions, patrol patterns, and potential threats to the assault teams. The facility was more heavily defended than intelligence reports had indicated. Sarah counted over 30 armed guards, several heavy weapons positions, and what appeared to be improvised explosive devices around the perimeter. She relayed this information to the command center and recommended modifications to the assault plan based on her observations. The rescue operation began at midnight, with Sarah providing real-time intelligence as multiple assault teams approached the compound from different directions. Her position allowed her to coordinate the team's movements and warn them of threats they could not see from ground level. The complexity of the operation required split-second timing and perfect communication. As the assault teams breached the compound perimeter, Sarah identified a guard tower that had not been neutralized and posed a threat to the hostage rescue team. She engaged the target at a range of 1,200 yards, eliminating the threat just as the rescue team was moving toward the building where hostages were being held. The battle intensified as terrorist reinforcements arrived from surrounding areas. Sarah found herself engaging multiple targets while simultaneously providing intelligence updates to the assault teams. Her shooting was precise and deadly, allowing the rescue teams to focus on locating and evacuating the hostages without interference from enemy forces. During the most critical phase of the operation, Sarah noticed movement in a building that intelligence had identified as empty. A terrorist with a rocket-propelled grenade was preparing to engage the helicopter that would evacuate the hostages. Sarah had only seconds to prevent what could have been a catastrophic attack on the rescue aircraft. The shot was at extreme range and required perfect accuracy under intense pressure. Sarah controlled her breathing, calculated the ballistic solution, and fired. The terrorist dropped immediately, and the rocket-propelled grenade fell harmlessly to the ground. The helicopter was able to land safely and evacuate all 6 hostages without casualties. The mission was completed successfully, with all hostages rescued and minimal casualties among the assault teams. Sarah's overwatch had been instrumental in the operation's success, and her precision shooting had prevented several potential disasters. The rescued hostages included American aid workers and journalists who had been held captive for over a year. Following the mission, Sarah received recognition at the highest levels of government for her contributions to the successful rescue operation. However, she was more proud of the fact that her training program graduates were beginning to deploy on operational missions and achieving similar success. She had proven that women could excel in the most demanding special operations roles. Years later, Sarah reflected on her journey from a small-town girl with a dream to a decorated special operations veteran who had opened doors for future generations of women in combat roles. Her grandfather's lessons about service and dedication had guided her through challenges that tested every aspect of her character and capabilities. The program she had helped establish continued to train exceptional women for special operations missions around the world. Sarah's combat experience and teaching had created a legacy that would influence military operations for decades to come. She had not only achieved her personal dreams, but had also changed what was possible for women serving their country in the most elite military units. Sarah eventually transitioned to civilian life, but her impact on special operations continued through the women she had trained and inspired. Her story became a testament to the power of determination, skill, and courage in breaking barriers and achieving excellence in the most demanding circumstances imaginable.